how to follow Shrimat and create fortune. And there is also an addition in the Murli of Mama's words. So, Mama is known as Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge in Bhakti, and today Baba says Mama is Jagadamba. So, Mama is also sharing very deep points of knowledge. And Mama's Vani, especially the second point. So in the second point, Mama is talking about what is the secret behind being fortunate and unfortunate. And then Mama talks about, how there are some people who are trying to find happiness by, plunging into Maya. So they are finding happiness, they are trying to find happiness through Maya. And then there are others who are trying to find happiness by leaving Maya. And when Mama says there are those who are trying to find happiness by leaving Maya, then it means the sannyasis. So, when you are trying to just leave the household and because you think that when you are in the household, then vices will be there, so you run away from the household. But Mama says in both the cases, what you arrive at is not happiness but sorrow. And this got my attention, and I was just thinking about it. So you see that one thing that we have understood from Gyan is vices are the reason for sorrow, right? And then when you understand that vices are the reason for sorrow, you want to give up your vices. But can you give up your vices just like that? So you can't give up your vices. You can substitute your vices, by Baba's virtues and powers and love. So again, that classic example that we always give, that when you have to dispel the darkness, you cannot dispel the darkness, you have to switch on the light. And when somebody doesn't have the knowledge and the access to Baba, then even if you recognize that vices are the problem, you don't know the way out. And this is why there was this whole sect which recognized that vices are the problem. But when they did not know Baba, what they did is they thought that the source of vices is the family life. So, when you live in the society, you go to work, you live in a household, and there is a family setup, then there are vices. So, what they thought is, leave the household. So then you will be free from vices. But will you be? No, because the vices are not in the household. The vices are within you. And wherever you go, you have to deal with yourself. Yes, you have to deal with yourself. And this is why that solution doesn't work. And in Gyan also, when we come to understand that vices are the problem, sometimes we don't adopt the right method. The right method is imbibing knowledge, practicing purity, and remembering Baba, doing seva. So, for 2500 years, we have always focused on what not to do. It's a very big sanskar. I've seen that sometimes when souls come to the center for the first time, in the first conversation itself, they would ask me, do we have to abstain from something? So would you recommend that, we don't do this and do that while we are taking the course? And I always tell them, don't focus on what you have to abstain from. Focus on what you have to do. And then, when you start doing that, and that's why when we start this journey, the most important thing is focus on daily murli. Taking in gyan, drawing in the light, that's most important. If we don't take the gyan, I'm talking about the first step. The first step of a yogi life is paying attention to everyday murli, because murli is the source of knowledge, and every other virtue stems from knowledge. So you cannot become pure or peaceful or loveful without knowledge. So knowledge is the knowledge of virtues, knowledge is the knowledge of the self. You even need knowledge of yoga to do yoga. You need to know Baba. How do you know Baba? Through the murli. So the first thing first, you cannot run away from vices, you cannot dispel vices. Running away from the home is not running away from vices. And to deal with vices, you need light and might. And that's why the first thing we need to do is draw in the light of the murli. So the most physical method of connecting with Baba is the murli. So the murli is the mind of God. So Baba speaks through the murli to us. And when we read the murli, when we focus on the murli, when we delve deeper into the points of the murli, when we reflect on what Baba said in the murli, that's the first method to draw in light. So this is most important. And then, how do you know Baba? So when you listen to Baba through the murli, when you see Baba through the murli, so the murli is the door through which you can see Baba, know Baba. How do you know that God is the ocean of love? Because you feel His love through the murli. How do you know He is the ocean of knowledge? Because you know Him through the murli. So, when we sit in remembrance, which Baba do we remember? The Baba we know through the murli. Yes, when you think about Baba, when you sit in remembrance and you are thinking about Baba, who are you thinking about? You're thinking about the one who comes and talks to you through the murli every day, the one who is calling you meethe bacche every day. And how do you recognize that he's the ocean of love or ocean of power, or he's the ocean of happiness, because you felt that happiness, that love, that nourishment, that care, that power, that knowledge through the Murli. And so the more you connect with the Murli, the more you know Baba. And then there is the practice of remembrance. So remembering Baba as you know him through the Murli. So when you know that he is the ocean of love, because you felt his love, you felt his love in his sustenance which he gives you through the Murli, and then you sit and remember that ocean of love, then your heart is full. So you have to first feel that love through the Murli, feel his sustenance, and then when you remember your sustainer, you remember the one who has come from the soul world just for you in silence, then that is what is drawing in love from Baba. So the more you sit, have quiet time, and you remember Baba is the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, ocean of happiness, the more you remember Baba in various qualities, in various relationships. So when we listen to the Murli, when we connect with Baba through the Murli, we feel that this is my father, this is my mother, this is my teacher, my Satguru. Don't you experience all of that? So Baba is talking as the Satguru, Baba is communicating as the father, Baba is teaching as the teacher. So Baba says, when you experience all these facets of relationships, and then you sit in awareness that my father, my teacher, my Satguru is with me, that will give you a lot of power in yoga. And then in the Murli, Baba is every day talking about various aspects of purity. So purity is not one dimensional. Purity is at least purity of the body, mind and wealth. So every day we are understanding about going deeper and deeper into what is purity of the mind, or the purity of the body or wealth. We are slowly getting it. The more you understand the Murli, the more you understand purity. And then you have to commit to imbibing purity. So whatever you understand about purifying, so whatever you understand about how to embrace purity of body, mind and wealth, when you start imbibing it in your life, then that is another aspect of dispelling darkness. And then seva. So when you surrender yourself, when you surrender your mind, body and wealth for seva, so that also that makes you get rid of the karmic accounts that you have created. Because you see, karma can only be negated through karma. So we have created vikarma by using our body, mind and wealth motivated by vices. And now when we use it for yajna seva, for vishwa seva, when we use that same body, mind and wealth on Baba's directions for sustaining this yajna, this whole system which is doing the work of purifying the world, and we use our body, mind and wealth to benefit the world through Baba's knowledge, then that is what is going to settle our old karmic accounts and create new sukarma. So this is why Baba says you cannot fight with Maya, or you cannot win over vices by just driving them away. So these are the four methods These are the four subjects that we have to pay attention to get rid of vices. Now, sometimes we don't understand this, and what we start doing is that which the sannyasis were doing. So, let's take one example. I'll give you many examples which will make you understand where we go wrong. So, there is this one sister, and she's newly married, and she told me that I've been in relationship with my husband. He's now my husband, but we have been in a relationship for the past 12 years. And she said that he's very controlling by nature, and I feel very suffocated because of that sense of control. So I told her, so is he controlling today, or was he controlling always? Because it's not a new relationship, it's been going on for 12-13 years. So she said he was always controlling, I guess, but in the beginning I tolerated it, but now it is becoming very difficult to tolerate. So I told her, but according to knowledge, tolerating is a virtue and a power. So I don't know how tolerating can go wrong. So let's understand your case. So then I asked her, why did you tolerate it in the beginning? So she said that, I came from a place of insecurity, and my father had died when I was very young, and I always was looking for somebody who could support me and be there for me. And this is why when he was very controlling, I just loved it. And I felt like, there is a father figure, and that sense of protection I'm getting, or control I'm getting. And then I liked it. So I said, so you didn't tolerate it, you liked it, right? So she said, yeah, maybe I liked it. So I said, you see, and now he's doing the same thing. Now I asked her, but why has it become a trouble today? What has changed within you? So she said that, I've been into BK practice for the last 4 years, and I've listened to knowledge, and of course over television and here and there, but I have not been to a center formally, or not connected online also through any particular center, but I've been listening to stuff online, and because of that I feel I sometimes I just feel that I'm not the same person anymore, and I feel like this is wrong and I shouldn't tolerate it. So I said, okay, then when you feel that you shouldn't tolerate it, then what have you done about it? So she said, but I'm still very insecure about he leaving me. So I'm not liking it, but I am still not speaking up because I'm afraid still that he would leave me if I spoke up, and I'm really scared that he shouldn't leave me. So now you see that what happens is, so there is a vice called insecurity and fear, right? So this is a vice. So there is insecurity which is there, and then you give the name of tolerance to your insecurity. So when you say you're tolerating, you are not doing it for the right reason, right? And when your reason is not right, then that is not a virtue, and that is not giving you power. It is draining you of self-esteem. So do you understand that even if you're coming from a place of emptiness, and but if you're not dealing with a situation in the right way, then and you're dealing with it in the wrong way, which is just allowing the other person to keep doing whatever they are doing, and then you give several names to it. You say, I'm tolerating, I'm doing this, that, and then in the name of virtue you're just doing the wrong thing. And then what happens is your sense of self-esteem is going lower and lower, because when you do something which is not right, how do you know that? So when your self-esteem is going low, self-esteem is not how other people perceive you or how you perceive yourself, but it's that deep inner feeling where you feel worthy and dignified. And it's not about something on the external, even about in your mind, it's not about what you have and what you do. It's that deep inner feeling that I am worthy. And when you self-sabotage, what is self-sabotage? When you do actions against your own nature of purity and dignity, and when you do actions which are opposite of love and happiness and peace, and you are acting against your own blueprint, then that's called self-sabotage. And when you are self-sabotaging, you will not feel okay on the inside. And then there will be a wake-up call. So just like in the case of that lady, there was this wake-up call which came from whatever she was listening online, and now she has the wake-up call that what I'm doing is wrong. But then just knowing that whatever you're doing is wrong doesn't make it right. So making it right is another big journey. So then she told me that, okay, so you're telling me that I tolerated for the wrong reason and that was not okay. So should I now just shout at him and make a complaint or what? So I said, no, you don't deal with a vice with another vice. So this is the problem. So once you understand that you're tolerating for the wrong reason, then what you do is, the next option that comes in your mind is don't tolerate. But don't tolerate, do what? That's the question. Yes, don't tolerate, that is okay. But then do what? So when you don't want to deal with that thing, so you understand that somebody is beating you up or abusing you or calling you nasty names, and that's not to be tolerated that way, and that is not the power of tolerance, then what do you do in that situation? So what you should do in that situation is, you have to stay in your dignity and respond. You will set your boundary by your being, your personality, not by shouting. So you cannot stop someone by shouting stop. You have to signal that stop through your personality, but you have to have that personality first. Yes, this is why Baba says that just like that behavior, so where did it all start? That negative behavior was encouraged by your insecurity, correct? So that person started misbehaving with you, or they thought that they could misbehave with you. Why? Because you were insecure. And if you're still insecure, how can you deal with that behavior? Do you get it? So how do you, even if you understand, that that is not how they can behave with me or they should behave with me. You're still the same person. So if you're the same person, then the other person will behave the same way with you. So this is why, just like you signal the other person that you can misbehave with me through your being, yes, and your body language and everything, now you have to change that. So this is why it is said that no problem is ever solved with the same consciousness with which it is created. So if you're still body conscious, if you're still afraid that somebody will leave you, if you're still insecure, how can you deal with that? So I told her that, you have to start practicing this, knowledge, purity. You have to start meditating. You have to start doing seva. That will fill you with power. That will fill you with power. And when you are powerful from the inside, then everything, your vibration, your body language, your words, that will signal the other person that you cannot behave with me like this. And if you're the same person, you cannot deal with it. It doesn't work like that. So this is why, even if you become aware of your vices, until you fill yourself with virtues and powers, you cannot deal with either your vices getting triggered again and again, or the consequence of your vices coming at you. You cannot deal with that. This is why it's very important to know that without switching on the light, you cannot dispel the darkness. And sometimes when we don't understand Gyan also in the right perspective, that's what we are trying to do, You're trying to shout and scream and tell the other person that you cannot behave with me like this, but they continue to do that, and then they tell you that, you may leave the house if you don't like me behaving like that, but I will always behave like this. So why does it come to that point? Because you're not approaching it in the correct way. So the more you understand knowledge, the more you practice soul consciousness, the more you draw in the love, the peace, the happiness, the purity from Baba as you sit in silence, the more you imbibe purity. So if you eat impure food, if you engage in impure lifestyle, that is draining you spiritually. You cannot be empowered by doing that. You have to embrace purity. And then seva. If you don't give anything of your body, mind and wealth to Vishwa Seva, then how will you incur an account of good karma? So Baba says that this is the method, and if you don't adopt this and you're just trying to recognize the vice, pull out the vice, or do many other things, that's not working. And I will give you an example of the opposite also. So there was this one Mata, and I've shared it earlier also, and it was in the very beginning when I had just started doing seva, and I had no experience, I had no understanding of what I was actually saying. So when you are new in Gyan and new in seva, then you're giving somebody the knowledge, but you really don't know how to apply it or where it is applied, because you've not seen that many situations or not applied it or whatever. And I was very young at that time. So at that time, there was this one Mata, and she used to come for the course. She was probably the first course I gave or something like that. And she used to come, and she was all black and blue, all over the face. And I did not have any idea that this black and blue happens when somebody beats you up. So I had absolutely no idea. I had no idea that there is something like domestic violence also which exists. And I used to just look at her face and probably wonder she fell somewhere or something. And I used to give her the course. And then one day I just asked casually, and that also not in a very interested way, it was very casual. I said, why is there this scar on your face? And then she said that my husband beats me up. And I was in the shock of my life because I had not expected something like this. And then she said that, this is an everyday thing and he just beats me black and blue. And then she told me, and then she started crying, and I didn't know how to respond because I really didn't know what to say. And then she went away. And in the evening, I was just thinking about, this whole situation. And in the evening, she called me. And at that time, her husband was beating her. And then she called me and she was crying on phone. And then she said, just save me and tell me what to do. And then I said, I don't know what to tell you, but then she said, should I like complain against him or beat him back? Because my friends tell me that if you just took that, took a rod and beat him back, then he would not beat you again. So I said, see, I don't have any experience, I will tell you that, but from what I have understood from knowledge, I will just tell you that because that's my job. So Baba says that if you address a vice with vice, then it will multiply. So I think that you just keep listening to the Murli and knowledge and keep meditating and keep practicing, and everything will be okay. I think that this is what Baba says, and I believe in Baba. I'm not talking from experience, but this is knowledge, and I am 100% sure it will work. And then she started coming to the class, and she was very regular and very diligent, and her practice was really good, and she was a pure soul. And then she started practicing, and then I never asked her, and she never told her anything later. And then some 20-25 days later, I asked her, so what about that whole beating and all that was happening? Is it okay, or what is happening? So then she said, no, all that is fine. So I said, how but? So she said, you gave the solution, right? So you told to keep doing what Baba is saying, and I kept doing it. And I had very firm faith, she said that I just every day in the Amrit Vela, I saw myself as Shiv Shakti. I saw myself as that soul who is completely under Baba's canopy, fearless, powerful, and very pure. And I just started doing that. I did not think about the husband. I just thought about myself, my self-image, how powerful I am, how pure I am. I'm Baba's child. And I stopped thinking about, Baba says, just withdraw your buddhi from everybody else. I withdrew my buddhi completely from everybody else. And then she said, after 1 week, once my husband came and he was just raising his hand to beat me. And then I don't know what happened, but he stopped. And then he said, just go away. And then I went, and from that day, he never beat me up again. He never raised his hand. So she said that changed forever. And now that Mata is also in Gyan for very long, and she's a very strong, very good Mata. And so you see that when Baba, and her husband also later took the course, so that also is there. So now you see that this is how you deal with vices. So you don't deal with vices by resisting them or by fighting against them. So the only method is to know yourself, know Baba, and don't forget the importance of Murli, because Murli is your only way, only method to know about yourself, know about Baba, know about purity, know about Seva. And the more you know, the better you do. So, even remembrance or embracing of purity or practicing soul consciousness, it will only happen when you have proper knowledge of it. When you know Baba well, through the Murli, you can feel his love and yoga. And when you don't appreciate the Murli, when you don't appreciate his sustenance through the Murli, then how do you know he's the ocean of love? How do you feel that love? So Baba says this is the method and not the opposite. And many times, people will say that, let's say, anger. So, when you are getting angry and suddenly you stop getting angry. So, you're just controlling your anger. And then people will say it will damage you. And yes, it could, because you're just bottling it up. Yes, but then what is the solution to not bottling it up, letting it out? And what is the solution to not letting it out, bottling it up? No, they are both not solutions. So the solution is filling yourself with enough love and enough peace so that you can transform your anger into good vibrations. So, when you see something, when you hear something, when you are in a situation which you don't like, then how do you transform your feelings? So, for transforming, you need the power of love and peace within you. So, when that power is there within you, then you are not letting it out, you are not bottling it up. You are transforming that feeling inside. So, it's not about, so although Baba says that, and even if you are not in that stage where you're not able to transform it, then don't make an effort to let it out, make an effort to transform it. This is why Baba says, even if there are storms of anger and lust coming, what do? You don't make an attempt to let it out, you just sit and meditate enough to transform it. So, when there is something that is really, triggering that anger inside you, and you don't have the ability to transform it in a second, what do? You take time and transform it. You sit before Baba, you take love and light from Baba at that time, and just allow and see it melting away. So that's how you deal with the vices, not by resisting them or just, wishing them away. If you just wish them away and they went away, it would be very good. But no, this is the process. So this is something very important, because even in Gyan, when we don't understand this properly, what we are doing is we are dealing with anger and dealing with lust and dealing with other things, but that's not how you deal with it. You deal with them by drawing in the knowledge, drawing in the powers, drawing into the power of purity, and doing seva. Okay, Om Shanti.